to Prague, a city where cobblestone streets lead to Gothic spires and every turn feels like a scene from a fairy tale. In just 3 days, you'll cross medieval bridges at sunrise, wander through royal castles, sip beer in 500-year-old halls, and watch golden light dance across the Vltava. Best time to visit Prague. The best time to visit Prague is during the shoulder seasons, April to June, and September to early November. The weather is mild, the crowds are thinner, and hotel rates are more reasonable. Spring blooms bring color to the city's gardens, while autumn sets the rooftops glowing under golden light. Expect daytime temperatures between 55 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, or 13 to 21 degrees Celsius. Summer is beautiful but busy, with packed sights and higher prices. Winter, though cold, turns the city into a fairy tale, especially if you're visiting during the Christmas markets. If you want the perfect balance of weather, prices, and atmosphere, May and September are your sweet spots. Airport tips. Prague's Václav Havel Airport is just 10 miles away from the city center. The easiest budget option is bus 119 to Nadrazy Veleslavin, then a quick metro ride, all for about $2 and around 40 minutes total. Prefer the direct ride? Uber or Bolt will take you to the city center in about 25 minutes, usually for $20 to $25. Fast, easy, and no need to overthink it. Where to stay in Prague? For first-timers, the best area to stay are Old Town, Stare Mesto, and Malá Strana. If you want to be in the middle of the action, Old Town is walkable, historic, and packed with cafes and landmarks. Expect hotels here to range from $150 to $300 USD per night. Malá Strana is quieter, more romantic, and just beneath the castle, perfect for slower mornings and great views. Boutique hotels here range from $120 to $250. For budget-friendly charm, check out Vinohrady, where local cafes and affordable guest houses run closer to $80 to $120 USD per night. How to get around Prague. Prague is a walker's dream. Most sites are within 15 to 20 minutes on foot, but when your legs need a break, the metro, trams, and buses are fast, clean, and easy to use. A 24-hour public transport pass costs about $6 and covers unlimited rides across the entire network. You can also grab a 3-day pass for around $16 if you're staying longer. And yes, Uber and Bolt work great here too, especially late at night when trams slow down. Day 1. Old Town legends, Gothic spires, and underground secrets. Morning. Charles Bridge. Your first morning in Prague begins on the Charles Bridge, a place where history, myth, and beauty meet. As you step onto the stone path, you're not just crossing a river, you're walking into a story that's been unfolding for 600 years. Lining the bridge are statues of saints and silent watchers, each with their own legend, standing guard above the flowing Vltava. Look one way and you'll see the Gothic towers of the Old Town glowing in morning light. Look the other way and the spires of Prague Castle rise above the sea of red rooftops. There are no cars here, no rush, just the soft sound of footsteps and quiet flap of wings and the river moving beneath you. This isn't just a landmark, it's a moment, and it sets the tone for everything Prague is about to show you. Insider tip. If you're up for a short climb, head into the Old Town Bridge Tower. The view from the top of the bridge, castle, river, and all is one of the best in the city. And in the morning light, pure magic. Breakfast, meeples and coffee. Just beyond the bridge, tucked into a quiet corner of Old Town, there's a cafe easy to miss, but you'll be glad you didn't. Welcome to Meeples and Coffee, a cozy board game cafe where Prague's creative spirit shows up in all the little details. Inside, the smell of fresh espresso mixes with the scratch of card decks and the clink of dice. Locals and travelers alike gather here for slow mornings, hot drinks, and homemade pastries. Whether you're sipping a cappuccino or trying your hand at a quick round of chess, it's the perfect way to ease into the rhythm of the day. Old Town, Stare Mesto. Now it's time to wander into the maze of Prague's Old Town, a place that feels like it was never touched by time. Cobblestone alleys twist and turn without warning, antique street lamps flicker in courtyards where Baroque facades rise like painted storybooks. Music echoes from street performers under vaulted archways, and the scent of fresh Trdelník and roasted coffee drifts from hidden bakeries. This isn't a place to rush, it's a place to get yourself lost, because every wrong turn in Old Town leads to something beautiful. Late morning, Old Town Square. Step into Old Town Square and suddenly, Prague opens wide around you. Here, time bends. Gothic, Baroque, and Renaissance facades stand shoulder to shoulder, each one telling a different chapter of the city's history. Horse-drawn carriages circle the square, street musicians play under medieval spires, and in every direction there's something worth pausing for, from the twin towers of Tin Church to the dome of St. Nicholas gleaming in the sun. This isn't just the center of Old Town, it's the heart of the entire city. For centuries, it's been a gathering place for kings, rebels, artists, and dreamers, and today, it's yours to experience. Astronomical clock. Just steps away, fixed to the side of the Old Town Hall, you'll find one of Prague's most treasured marvels, the astronomical clock. Installed in 1410, it's the third oldest in the world and the oldest one still working. But this isn't just a clock, it's a spectacle. Every hour, on the hour, a tiny medieval drama plays out. Statues come to life, the apostles appear, and death rings a bell with a sly nod. Crowds gather below, necks craned upward, cameras ready, but don't just look, listen, because what you're hearing isn't just chimes, it's the sound of 6 centuries keeping perfect time. Old Town Hall Tower. Now it's time to rise above it all, literally. Make your way to the Old Town Hall Tower, and suddenly, the noise of the square falls away beneath your feet. From the top, Prague stretches in every direction, with red rooftops, Gothic spires, and the distant outline of the castle on the hill. This is where the city opens up. This is where you see how old it truly is. Entry costs around $13, and it includes access not only to the tower, but also the chambers behind the astronomical clock. Whether you take the staircase or glide up by elevator, it's one of the best views in Prague, and you'll feel like you're floating right above history. Church of Our Lady Before Tin. Those twin spires you've been seeing since morning? Now it's time to step inside them. The Church of Our Lady Before Tin isn't just a landmark, it's a sanctuary of shadows and gold. Walk through the narrow passageway that hides the entrance, and you'll enter a world of candlelight, painted ceilings, and quiet reverence. Admission is free, though small donations are welcome at the door. It's not grand like a cathedral, it's personal, peaceful, and somehow, even with all the people outside, you'll find a moment here that feels entirely your own. Afternoon, St. Nicholas Church. Just a few steps away on the opposite side of the square stands another masterpiece, St. Nicholas Church. Not to be confused with its counterpart in Lessertown, this Baroque gem feels like it was carved out of light. Step inside and you're met with soaring arches, glimmering chandeliers, and soft echoes that carry even the faintest whisper. Marble columns twist skyward, frescoes stretch across the ceiling like theater backdrops frozen in time. Entry is just a couple dollars, and it's well worth it even if you only sit for a moment beneath the dome and listen to silence framed by centuries of devotion. This is Prague in its most ornate form, spiritual, theatrical, and unforgettable. Lunch. By now, Old Town has worked up your appetite, and you've got 2 very different, very delicious ways to answer it. If you're in the mood for something cozy and local, head to Trdelník, a tiny pancake cafe tucked behind the church. Their sweet and savory snacks are famous across Prague. Expect to spend around $10 to $15 for a satisfying meal in a space that feels more like someone's living room than a restaurant. Or, for something more refined, try Prague, where Czech tradition meets Japanese elegance. Think duck confit, grilled vegetables, delicate plating, all served in a sleek, moody interior. Here, lunch runs closer to $25 to $35, but every bite feels curated. 2 options, 1 perfect afternoon break, the choice is yours. Late afternoon, bunker tour. Beneath the polished surface of Wenceslas Square lies something unexpected, a Cold War-era fallout shelter hidden under the elegant Hotel Jelta. This was no museum when it was built, it was a real functioning bunker designed to protect political elites in case the Cold War turned hot. Today, the shelter is open to the public, offering a rare and eerie glimpse into Prague's recent past. Admission is about $10, and it gets you into the original concrete corridors, sealed blast doors, and surveillance rooms left just as they were. It's a world of dim lighting, dusty typewriters, and whispered paranoia, a stark contrast to the fairy tale city above. Early evening, Jewish Quarter, Yusufov. A short walk from Wenceslas brings you into one of the most historically powerful places in Prague, the Jewish Quarter, known as Yusufov. Here, stories stretch back over 1,000 years. You'll walk through the haunting beauty of the old Jewish cemetery, where thousands of gravestones are stacked and slanted, layered by centuries of history, persecution, and resilience. Don't miss the Spanish synagogue, with its golden Moorish interior and quiet reverence. Entry to the main sites is offered through a combined ticket for about $16 and gives you access to several synagogues and the cemetery. It's not a fast stop, it's a place to slow down, listen, and remember. Evening, dinner. For your first dinner in Prague, step into a place where the locals go and where the beer flows straight from the tank. Lokal Dluha isn't fancy, but it's real, it's loud, it's full of life. Here you'll find long communal tables, unfiltered pilsners served seconds after tapping, and classic Czech dishes that don't try to impress, they just satisfy. Go for the Svickova, the schnitzel, or the goulash. Wash it down with a pint or two. Dinner here runs about $15 to $20, and that includes the kind of atmosphere you can't order off a menu. This is the Prague that locals love, warm, hearty, and proud of every bite. Day 2, Hilltop Castles, Baroque Gardens, and Lennon's Legacy. Morning, breakfast. Tucked into a quiet Malostrana side street, Bread Gap is the kind of bakery that feels like a secret. No fuss, no crowds, just the scent of fresh bread, flaky croissants, and butter still melting into warm sourdough. Grab a cappuccino and a pastry, or go for one of their open-faced sourdough sandwiches. A light breakfast here will cost you around $6 to $10, making it one of the best value cafes this close to the castle. Settle in, sip slowly, and let the city stretch awake around you. Wander Malostrana. With the castle still ahead, take a moment to explore Malostrana, Prague's lesser town where every building leans with age and every alleyway tells its own story. Baroque palaces press shoulder to shoulder along cobbled streets, ivy drapes over wrought iron balconies. This is the quieter side of Prague, where the tourist crowds thin and the city's romantic soul takes center stage. Explore Prague Castle. Now the climb begins. Up the sloping streets and grand staircases, you reach the gates of Prague Castle, the largest ancient castle complex in the world. Inside these walls, kings were crowned, revolutions whispered, and centuries of stories took shape. The courtyards stretch endlessly, lined with Gothic halls, Renaissance windows, and echoes of empire. Admission starts at about $11, depending on your route through the grounds, but even a general visit grants access to one of Europe's most atmospheric historic sites, where every step is a walk through living history. Late morning, stroll the Golden Lane. Inside the castle walls, tucked behind fortress stones and watchtowers, is a street that looks like it was built for a storybook, Golden Lane. These tiny, brightly painted houses once belonged to goldsmiths, soldiers, and castle servants. Today, they're home to miniature museums, armor displays, and centuries-old doorways barely taller than your shoulders. Writers like Franz Kafka once lived here. Now it's your turn to wander, peek through the windows, and imagine a life in a medieval micro-village. Entry is included with your castle ticket, so take your time and let this whimsical lane lead you back in time. See St. Vitus Cathedral. Towering at the heart of the castle like a Gothic crown, St. Vitus Cathedral is more than a church, it's Prague's spiritual anchor. Inside, sunlight filters through stained glass and paints the stone floors in violet and gold. Royal tombs rest beneath your feet. The ceilings rise so high, they seem to disappear. Every column, every window, every echo tells a story of faith, power, and empire. This is where Czech kings were crowned, where saints are buried, and where silence holds more weight than words. Entry is included in the Prague Castle Circuit B ticket, which costs about $17 and gives you access to the Cathedral, Golden Lane, St. George's Basilica, and more. Visit St. George's Basilica. Just steps away is something entirely different, Older, smaller, and more intimate, the Basilica of St. George is the oldest church in Prague Castle, dating back to the 10th century. From the outside, its red facade glows against the gray stone of the courtyard. Inside, it's quiet, Romanesque, stripped down, a space built for echoes and prayer. In contrast to the soaring drama of St. Vitus, this chapel feels grounded, as if it has no need to impress. It just endures, and that might be its greatest beauty. Afternoon. Lunch. Just outside the castle gates, follow the cobbled slope down Usedmi Svabu, a rustic Czech tavern that feels like it's been here for centuries. And in a way, it has. The vaulted ceilings, candlelit interior, and medieval decor make it feel more like a wine cellar from the 1600s than a modern restaurant. But the food is timeless: roasted meats, thick soups, and dumplings that soak up every drop. A filling lunch here costs around $12 to $18 and comes with a side of atmosphere you won't find anywhere else in Prague. This isn't just lunch, it's a pause in a different century. Admire the John Lennon Wall. From deep history to defiant color, your next stop is the John Lennon Wall, just a short walk downhill toward the river. In the 1980s, young Czechs began painting Beatles lyrics and anti-communist messages here, despite constant efforts to erase them. The wall became a living symbol of peace, rebellion, and expression, and it still is. Today, it's a riot of graffiti, messages of love, and layers upon layers of art. No two visits are ever the same. Snap a photo, write a thought, or just stand in front of it and take it in. Prague wears many faces, and this is one of its loudest, proudest ones. Late afternoon. Vertba Garden. Hidden behind an unmarked gate in Malestrana is one of Prague's most breathtaking secrets, the Vertba Garden. Baroque in every sense, this terraced garden climbs the hillside with sculpted hedges, curling staircases, and stone cherubs watching from ivy-covered walls. From the top, you'll catch one of the most underrated views in the city: Prague Castle above you, Malestrana's rooftops below, and silence in every direction. Entry costs about $6, and it's worth every step. In a city known for its drama, this garden offers pure, quiet elegance. Walk Nerudova Street. Leaving the garden, make your way down Nerudova Street, a sloping, storybook road that once served as part of the royal route to the castle. Each building here has its own symbol instead of a number: golden keys, suns or lions, a tradition before house numbers existed. As you descend, lanterns sway, galleries peek out behind arched doors, and pastel facades lean into the curve of the hill. There's no landmark here. The street itself is the attraction, and one of the most photogenic walks in Prague. Evening. Dinner. End your day with a meal that feels like a celebration. Terasa u Zlaté Studne sits just beneath the castle, with sweeping views of the city at sunset. Inside, the service is impeccable. Outside, the terrace overlooks Prague's rooftops and spires as they begin to light up for the night. Expect elegant Czech and European dishes, a carefully curated wine list, and a price to match. Dinner here ranges from $50 to $80 per person, but the view, the mood, and the memory, absolutely unforgettable. Day 3. Grand avenues, river views, and Prague's modern soul. Morning. Breakfast. Start your final day in Prague at one of the city's true institutions, Café Louvre. Since 1902, this grand coffee house has welcomed the likes of Kafka and Einstein beneath its chandeliers and mirrored ceilings. The waiters wear bow ties, the walls are lined with art, and the atmosphere still hums with old-world elegance. Whether you're in the mood for eggs and toast, a buttery croissant, or a full Viennese breakfast, the classics here are beautifully done. A proper breakfast at Café Louvre will set you back around $12 to $18 and comes with a healthy dose of 20th century charm. Wenceslas Square. Step outside and you're standing in one of the most important places in Czech history, Wenceslas Square. More boulevard than square, this wide, sloping stretch of pavement has seen everything from student protests to political uprisings. It was here that the Velvet Revolution gained its voice in 1989, when thousands gathered to demand freedom and got it. Today, it's lined with shops, banks, and cafes, but its heart is still historical. Look up toward the National Museum. Imagine the square filled with candles and courage. You're not just walking through a commercial district, you're walking through history. Lucerna Passage. Just off the square, duck into Lucerna Passage and enter another world entirely. This early 20th century arcade is all polished stone, warm light, and Art Nouveau details. But what catches your eye immediately is something stranger. A statue of St. Wenceslas riding an upside-down horse. It's weird, it's provocative, it's pure Prague. Beyond the surreal, you'll find indie cinemas, record stores, and quiet cafes tucked along its corridors. The city's past lives here, but so does its creative, unpredictable soul. Late morning. National Museum. At the top of Wenceslas Square, crowned in stone and pride, stands the National Museum, Prague's cultural guardian. Step inside and you're met with sweeping staircases, marble halls, and a vast glass dome that floods the building with natural light. The exhibits span everything: ancient skeletons, Czech history, astronomy, and art, but the building itself is the true masterpiece, rebuilt and restored to the elegance of a royal palace. Admission is about $13 and includes access to both the historic main hall and the new building next door, connected by an underground tunnel. Even if museums aren't your thing, this one is worth it for the architecture alone. Walk via Narodny Street. Leaving the museum, take a walk down Narodny Street, a powerful, elegant boulevard with deep roots in Prague's recent past. In 1989, this was where riot police clashed with student protesters during the Velvet Revolution. The beatings here sparked the nationwide uprising that brought down communism and led to the peaceful birth of a modern-day Czechia. Today, the street is full of cafes, bookstores, and tram bells, but beneath it all, you can still feel the pulse of change that once echoed through these cobblestones. Afternoon. Lunch. Across from the National Theatre, perched on the edge of the Vltava River, is one of Prague's most iconic cafes, Cafe Slavia. Writers, revolutionaries, and musicians have all sat beneath its tall windows, watching boats drift past and city life unfold. The menu is classic Czech with a touch of elegance. Think goulash, duck confit, and warm apple strudel. Lunch here will cost you around $18 to $25, and what you get in return is more than just a meal. It's a front row seat to Prague's cultural heart. Dancing House. From tradition to bold modernity, just a short walk down the riverbank and you'll arrive at the unforgettable Dancing House. Also known as Fred and Ginger, this curving glass and concrete landmark twists and leans like it's mid-dance. Built in the 1990s on a site bombed during World War II, the building became a symbol of Czechia's creative rebirth. You could admire it from the outside or take the elevator to the rooftop for panoramic views and a quiet drink above the city. There's no entrance fee if you're just exploring the exterior, but for the rooftop cafe, expect to spend around $8 to $10 for a coffee or wine with a view. Late afternoon, Legion Bridge. From the foot of the Dancing House, follow the river north and cross the Legion Bridge, a wide, stately span connecting Newtown to the heart of Prague's historic center. The views from here are among the city's best. To one side, the Charles Bridge with its Gothic towers. To the other, the castle rising above the skyline. Boats drift by beneath you and the sun begins its slow descent behind the spires. Pause in the center, look both ways. This is the Prague postcard, and you're standing right in it. Naplavka Riverbank. Once you cross, follow the curve of the Naplavka Riverbank, one of the city's most beloved gathering spots. What used to be a quiet quay is now alive with pop-up bars, floating cafes, book markets, and music echoing from moored boats. Locals stretch out with drinks, cyclists weave by, seagulls float on the current. It's the perfect place to slow down and take in the rhythm of the city, especially as the golden hour lights up the water. Evening. Dinner. End your final night in Prague with a proper Czech feast, and there's no better place than the Restaurace u Fleku. This legendary beer hall has been brewing its own dark lager since 1499. Inside, long wooden tables, accordion music, and thick steamy plates of roast pork and dumplings set the scene. The servers are fast, the beer is colder than you expect, and the energy is loud, warm, and unforgettable. Dinner here will run you around $20 to $25 and includes the kind of unfiltered pilsner you can't find outside this building. It's not just dinner, it's a celebration, the perfect way to close out your time in Prague. 3 days in Prague, and it still feels like you've only scratched the surface. From hilltop castles and riverside cafes to clock towers, quiet gardens, and lantern-lit streets, this city doesn't just show you its beauty, it invites you into it. If you enjoyed this journey, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another adventure. And if Prague left you wanting more of Europe, check out our guides to Vienna, Budapest, or Paris next, because this story is just getting started.